today I'm going to be reviewing the Netflix series Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. The series follows a young couple as they make a road trip back to his parents' cabin that is in the middle of nowhere, or a small town, a very weird small town. And at the start of the series, it reminded me a lot of the movie I'm Thinking of Ending Things. For one, they both have titles that are a bit on the nose. The second thing that made me think of I'm Thinking of Ending Things while watching the beginning and the first episodes is that the story unveils on the road, and there's a feeling of weirdness. You're not quite sure whether you are in a dream sequence or in reality. And so that was what made me think of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I thought they were very alike in the beginning, and I was like, this is gonna be like I'm Thinking of Ending Things. But as the story unravels, we realize that this is reality that this main character is experiencing. The main characters are Rachel and Nikki. Rachel is the lady and Nikki is the guy, and they are on a road trip to go to Nikki's parents' place for a small wedding. They want to have a small wedding at his parents' place. And so, because the distance is very long, they stop several times on their trip. They stop at what I would call a restaurant. I don't know what it's called in the West. It has escaped my mind, but a really small restaurant. I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's a restaurant per se, like all those roadside stops, right? They stop at one of them to have a quick meal. And while they are there having a quick meal, Rachel overhears another couple at a booth talking about someone whose dogs always go missing. One of the people having that discussion goes something like, oh, dogs always go missing all the time. And the other person is like, no, dogs do not go missing, cats go missing, right? And so they are insinuating, the other person is insinuating that the owner of the pets is always doing something to their pets, right? So just weird conversations altogether. Rachel later meets with the lady who was having this conversation with her partner, and Rachel whispers to the person like, this owner of this dogs that always go missing is the person is killing the dogs, right? And the person looks at her strangely, like they do not understand what she's saying. So this was one of the examples where I was like, is this reality or is this a dream? Later on, the night falls while they're on the road and they have to stop to use the bathroom. Before Rachel is able to go to the bathroom, she notices a car. When she peers into the car, she notices a baby at the back seat of the car, and she's obviously concerned because the parents are nowhere to be found. It's snowing and she's worried that the baby's gonna freeze to death. So she tells Nikki, her boyfriend, her fiance, to stay with the baby while she goes to the bedroom to check whether the parents are in the bedroom. When she goes to the bedroom, it's just eerie. The atmosphere is eerie, and she eventually notices a dead fox, or like a dog-like family, in one of the bathroom stalls, and she runs out of the place. She reunites with Nikki outside and tells him that she couldn't find the parent, and because they do not have any network they do not have any signal on their cell phones, she asks that Nikki tries to break the glass of the car so that they can get the baby out, while she drives to the next stop to see if she can get somewhere to make a phone call. So she leaves Nikki behind and tries to break the glass, and she drives for a while, and she comes across like a bar that still has the eerie atmosphere. She realizes that it's empty, right, except for a young woman, and she asks the young woman if she has a phone, and that she should make a call about the baby that is trapped in the car. So the young woman leaves her behind in this eerie atmosphere and goes to make the phone call. While she's there, she feels this unsettling feeling like there's someone else there with her, but she goes to the bedroom, right, to relieve herself, because she wanted to ease herself before she noticed the baby in the other place. So she goes to the bedroom of this place to try to ease herself. But while she's there, she hears the door open. While she's in her bedroom stall, she hears the door open, and it's not long before she sees someone peeking above the stall demarcations, right, peeking at her, a weird creepy man, and she screams and runs out of the place. And prior to this time, she had asked the young woman that was there if she was the only one there, and the woman said yes. So that you can see why she's obviously uncomfortable. And then there's a man in a female bedroom that is so creepy, and this man does not look like a normal man, right? He looks like a supernatural being of sorts. So she runs away as she waits for news from the young woman who had gone to make the call to the emergency services. She notices that another man is approaching her. A very tall but strange looking man is approaching her, and before the man can reach for her, she stabs him with her car keys, right, and tries to leave the place and hurries away. But the man asks her, as she departs, the man asks her a very ominous question: are you sure he's the one? So she flees, but she cannot shake the feeling that something very bad is gonna happen. So when she reaches Nikki, she notices that he has bruises near his eyes, and when she queries him about that, he tells her that the parents of the child came back and that they thought he was trying to steal their baby, and so he was attacked. And so Nikki asks if they should wait until the cops come so they can explain what happened, but she says no, like they need to leave because she's feeling creeped out. So they leave. Eventually they arrive at Nikki's parents' palatial cabin, right? And she's very shocked, like, oh, you said it was a cabin. And he's like, oh, whatever. But we get the feeling that, okay, Nikki is from a very rich home, and she eventually meets with his family. And it's a common belief and common stereotype that rich people can be eccentric, but his family are levels above eccentric. They are basically crazy, right? So I go from feeling like the series reminds me of I'm Thinking of Anything, to thinking that we're going to see a Get Out type of situation, because when her own wedding dress that she brought on this trip gets mysteriously missing, the women of the house suggest that she put on the matriarch's own wedding dress, and so they are just dancing around her, snipping hair, fixing it up for her, and she's obviously overwhelmed, but she can't say much, I guess, because I feel like she just wanted to be part of the family, right? Because she lost her mother when she was very young, and her father and her are estranged, so she just wants to do anything to be accepted by these people. But I remember I kept on thinking, get out of here, these guys are strange, because the way they're just dancing around her, taking off her her own jewelry, draping her in strange jewelry, looking at her weirdly, I was like, run for your life. These people are gonna kill you, or they're gonna switch out to your body, like they're gonna take your body. Like, that's what I felt while watching it. She eventually comes across the patriarch of the family digging a grave in the middle of the night, and she flees. The patriarch chases after her, but she meets with her boyfriend who had gone out, coming back home, and she waves him down and tells him what's happening. And he obviously goes to talk with his parents. He tells her to wait in the car. He leaves the key behind, and he assures her that everything is fine, but if she does not feel safe, she can drive away. When eventually he goes to talk with his parents, because his parents, his siblings, they all came out, and then it comes out that the matriarch of the family is dying, and they were hoping that they could use their wedding as a sort of living wake, right? So it is at this point that the story shifts once again, because if she's not in danger at the hands of this family, then where is the danger coming from? Prior to this whole event, in the first night that she arrived, she got sort of a letter, a mail from someone, where the person wrote, "Don't marry him," on their wedding card, right? And addressed the mail to her, right? So there's something working behind the scenes. Obviously there's someone watching her. It's shown various times that there's someone watching her, but we do not see the face of this person. Just when Rachel and the audience can breathe a sigh of relief, in the knowledge that danger is not coming from the in-laws, she is kidnapped. But luckily for her, the nephew of her boyfriend sees when this strange figure takes her. Now this strange figure is revealed to be her father, and he shares with her a video of of their wedding day, of her mother and his wedding day. So we see the story from their point of view. We see that the mother was pregnant on the day she got married. She was pregnant with Rachel, and she is a bit apprehensive of getting married, right? She has this apprehension as their wedding approaches. The husband reassures her, that is Rachel's father, reassures her that it's nothing because her mother didn't get married, right? Rachel's mother's mother didn't get married, and she always warned Rachel's mother that if she got married, that she would die. Now the husband reassures her in the camera, in the video clip that we see from that he shows Rachel. He reassures her that her mother was just being abusive and that there's nothing wrong and she's not going to die because she gets married, obviously. So when they get married, they have just one witness, right? And the witness, we cannot see him in the video, but we hear him ask Rachel's mother if she's sure that he's the one. She brushes it off and walks down the aisle to him, and they are wedded. And on the day of their wedding, as they try to have fun, when they go back to their motel room, Rachel's mother starts to bleed from all her orifices, like her eyes, her nose, her ears. She starts to bleed and she dies on that day. And so before she dies, she tells the husband to tell Rachel that it is true. So now we watch adult Rachel watch this whole video, because they recorded everything like happy parents trying to make a video for their future child, right? Rachel watches this whole thing horrified, and she says it's a lie. Of course, she is in disbelief, but her father asks her if she has not been feeling any apprehension as the wedding approaches. And we all know, because we have been there with her from the beginning of the journey, that she has been apprehensive. The rest of the series, we see Rachel try to circumvent the curse on her bloodline. First, we see her confront the man at the bar who had asked her if she was sure he was the one, and he reveals himself to be like a witness to all the marriages that have been happening in her family. And obviously he's sort of a supernatural being at this time, but he reveals that he was not always a supernatural being, and that the curse was initially on his family. That a long while ago, one of his great grandmothers had lost her husband, and she beseeched Death to release him back to her. Death did so on one condition. The condition was that she had to be sure that he was the love of her life, that is the husband, her lover, that she's requesting from Death. And she agreed. Like all contracts with the powers that be, Death did not inform her of the fine print. The fine print being that all her offspring would have to marry their soulmates or they died. Now in the future, every one of her family member that did not marry their soulmates died. And when it got to the marriage of this man that we call the witness, he decided not to marry the love of his life because he was afraid. By not marrying the love of his life, the curse jumped over to her bloodline, and he became somewhat of an immortal. Now this person that the curse jumped over to turns out to be like a great grandmother of Rachel. And since then, every member of Rachel's family that did not marry the love of their life died. Now Rachel has a choice to make. She either goes through with the marriage and find out whether Nikki is the love of her life, or she dumps him and have the curse jump to his family line. The rest of the story explores the choices that they make, and it's such an interesting story. I do not want to spoil it any further. It has comedy, it has horror, it has real life drama and relationships, and altogether it was such an enjoyable watch. That will be all for today's video. If you've loved it, if you've enjoyed my review, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.